Welcome back to the September episode of County Connection. For this next segment, we have the fine folks from CSU Extension here joining us to talk about the Colorado Master Gardener Program. And they have some fall gardening tips of things to keep your garden in tip-top shape as it goes to bed for the winter. So joining us today, we have Dan Schroeder, who's the director of Summit County CSU Extension. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Julie.
And we have Ann Brewster, who is a master gardener who achieved that title through the CSU Extension Master Gardener Program here in Summit County.
Did.
Welcome
you,
to both of you.
Thank you.
So let's see. Let's start off by talking about what is a master gardener.
A master gardener is an individual who has graduated from well, I'm sure there are other programs all over the country, but in our case, from the CSU Master Gardener Training, which is delivered by the horticultural department.
Exactly, and landscape architecture.
And landscape architecture at CSU. It's now delivered via closed-circuit TV.
That's right. So we have an online system that delivers our content from the expert wherever they may be located around the state. So in fact, the mountains get in the way a little bit when it comes down to the Master Gardener class, and we can't have the experts driving all over the state. It's just asking a whole lot. So our class is actually derived from an online source.
And it's interactive.
It's live.
So, yeah, so you can have a dialogue of question and answers with the professors, correct?
Right. That's it, exactly. So the Colorado Master Gardeners here locally are people who live in Summit County and across the state. Actually, it depends on what county you're in. You would be a citizen interested in this topic of horticulture, home gardening, and ultimately the tagline of the program is growing gardens to grow people. So I know, I love that as well. And as much as it's a garden-centric group of people, a club, if you will, it's very much a community-based organization that's using one means to get people together to do positive things.
Great.
And I'd like to explain why I became a master gardener.
Please do.
And that is that when I lived in New Jersey, I had magnificent gardens. When I lived in New York City, right in Manhattan, I had a magnificent garden. When I moved to Illinois, I had a magnificent garden. I moved to Colorado and everything stalled. I had no idea why. And the first Master Gardener training program was being held shortly after I moved here. And a number of people encouraged me to take it. I was afraid because I thought it was going to be too technical and too scholastic. But I was nevertheless talked into it, and it was unbelievable because I didn't know how different our soils are from soils in other states where I've lived. I had no idea that the weather was such a contributing factor. I mean, we have, I think it's less than 24 frost-free nights here in Summit County. So my precious tomatoes were out the window. I still try one plant a year, but it doesn't work. And I did learn a lot about soil augmentation, about what plants grow here, which is a very significant number, but not the same ones that grow where I had lived previously. Mm-hmm. It changed my confidence level enormously. And that was the outcome for me, and now I have gorgeous gardens again.
Excellent. So I know that Colorado Master Gardeners certainly have gorgeous gardens of their own, but they also work on community projects. So what are some of the community projects here in Summit?
Shall I go with the community gardens?
Let's talk about community gardens,
okay.
Ann. That would be wonderful.
Shortly after I moved here, we decided to develop a community garden in Silverthorne in memory of Silvana Del Piccolo. She was beloved by pretty much everybody who knew her, and we had property, I don't even know if it's a long-term lease or if it was donated, but given to us in order to build a community garden. And it is a large vegetable garden. We have about, I think we're now up to 40 plots that we rent at a very, very low rate to anybody who wants to grow vegetables in that garden. We give guidance to new gardeners. People come in and say, I've never grown anything. I wouldn't know what to do, but we're all there to help. And my favorite story is one year we had an extra plot, and I talked the mother of my best friend, who was 4 years old, into taking a plot. And I gave him his choice of seeds from all that I had, and he picked them out, and he designed his garden. He was sitting in the soil. We have pictures of him sitting in the soil, caressing his plants. And the neatest thing was, at the end of the season, he would say, "Did this grow in my garden? Otherwise, I'm not going to eat it."
He had a strong preference for his own produce.
So we have lots of kids that come into those gardens. We donate some gardens to people who can't afford to grow their own vegetables, and we teach them how to grow them. And after the success of the silverthorn garden, I think Frisco was the next community garden, and that's been extremely successful. And then we went to, I'm sorry, I don't know the order, but Breck has a very successful community garden, and Dillon, I think, has 2 now.
Great.
So that's been huge for us. And to hear a child at the end of a summer say, "Mommy, everything we eat doesn't have to come from City Market."
It's very empowering, isn't it?
Yeah.
And to have that success
Yeah.
in the garden, somewhere that you can control, that's sort of small scale.
And it's available for everybody.
It is, it really is.
Even if you live in a high rise. So it's really been very successful, and it's growing every year in popularity.
Excellent. And Dan, what are some of the other projects that the Master Gardeners participate in?
You know, really, it's a matter of the adult learner who's chosen to come through this program driving how they would like to educate. This being training for people who then will not only get their fingers dirty and get out there and do some things in the gardens, but teach the public at large who's interested. And so it could be a matter of answering phone calls, making house calls. We always send a team if folks were interested in knowing what's happening on their own property. It's a matter of aspect. And some of the other things that have gone on this year, we have a couple, Bill and Betsy.
So just to push pause for a second.
Sure.
So if I were having issues in my own garden, I could request a Master Gardener's help to help me figure out what's going on?
You would indeed.
Wow.
And you would
I didn't
call the
know that.
hotline at 970-668-4141.
That
And
is
the
a
word
pretty
will go
fabulous
out to all
service.
Master Gardeners in Summit County.
Awesome.
Would you like to help Julie
It's happening
Kill
right
my
now.
voles. That's what I want help with.
That's a pretty common question to which we don't have an answer.
Oh, geez.
Except get a feral cat.
Voles, right? And pocket gophers, these are challenges.
Yeah.
So we answer lots of questions, and you're absolutely right. Master gardeners would be willing to come out and take a walk around your property and give you an idea of what might grow and what you might do to make your garden different, better, some landscape architecture kind of angles. One other major item this year, we were partnering with the Summit Garden Club, and they had the home tour, it was the garden tour of a variety of homes around Summit County. And so the Master Gardeners hosted booths at about half of those homes, and research-based information from CSU, a whole list of fact sheets were provided, as well as the people, the Master Gardeners themselves were there for dialogue to discuss with folks who were coming just to enjoy the gardens. We sent them away with a little bit more information as well.
And those fact sheets are available to Master Gardeners at any time through CSU.
Okay.
And it's a huge amount of information. It's a fabulous resource
Excellent.
that anyone can dig into.
Excellent. So let's talk about the course a little bit, what it takes to become a Master Gardener. So what are the details on who's eligible, when is it, where is it, how does it work?
That sounds really good. So I'd love to talk about some of the administrative side of the Colorado Master Gardener course. It is a course that's offered and hosted in the winter. And many people think, well, why would I come to class for gardening from January through March? And in fact, this program is set up so that your quiver is full of information so you can hit the ground running once we melt. And that would be April, May, June, those however many frost-free growing days that we have. It's a short season. So the program is specifically the very last Thursday of January. I believe it's the 23rd of January through April 4th or 5th. What it comes to is it's 10 Thursdays through January, February, March, and the very beginning of April. And those Thursdays are a whole day class. So it's from 9 to 12, and we take an hour lunch, and then it's from 1 to 4. So it's 6 hours, 10 times, totaling a 60-hour college level, what might be equivalent to Horticulture 101 or something of this nature.
Okay.
In the span of that many Thursdays. It is a set schedule because we're on this distanced education format where the content and the expert are being piped in over the internet. So we do sit in a classroom together at the Frisco County Commons, and we learn from each other face to face, as well as interacting with the various Master Gardener participants. They call them apprentices. And those cohorts that exist around the state are all effectively in the same classroom.
Right, and I, having seen pictures of some of the classes, I know that the students are not just sitting there looking at a TV screen, that there's dirt and there are plants and there are tools, so it really is interactive even though it's distance learning.
There, for each year, some of the previous graduates are assistants to
great.
step the professors through the various subject matter of that particular day. And another neat thing about becoming a master gardener is that if you continue being a master gardener, you can go back and take like a class in grass management or turf management, or you can go back and take the class in bugs. So you don't have to get all your information in the first fire hose. You know, you can go back the following year or the year after that and continue to take more follow-up training.
Great. All right. And so, Dan, where do people go to sign up and find all the details?
And this is the Colorado State University Extension pages of the Summit County Government website.
Okay.
And so if people were to go to Summit County Government's website, and that is summitcountyco.gov, and then under departments you would find CSU Extension, and all of our Master Gardener information is located there. This is applications for the 2017 class, and my contact information. Really this is a big component of communicating with us, your interest, and we'll talk about the details. There are two components of this program, in fact, that one would be volunteer, and that is you take the class at a lower tuition, and then you pay volunteer hours back to Summit County through some of the ways that we've talked about. There are many different ways we can connect Master Gardener apprentices with the county, or you can take it on the non-volunteer track, and this is just a matter of I want to gain some more information and then I want to go my own way. So if you can begin the conversation with me and the staff at the CSU Extension office, then we will send you down that application process and get you enrolled in the class. And really what it comes to is if you're interested, we're going to be real happy to have you.
And I'd like to
Excellent.
add to that.
Sure.
One of the best things about this class is that it encourages you to find your inner green thumb. There's really no such thing as a person who doesn't have a green thumb. It's just a matter of getting the information, absorbing it, and then utilizing it. And this course will give confidence to anyone who wants to know more about growing plants. And to me, one of the very favorite things about having perennial plants is sharing them with other people. So I am at the point now where I'm cutting things in half and giving them to friends of mine, and people in my neighborhood now come down and say, can I kidnap you for half an hour and take you up to my garden, and can you help me with this? And I'm working with a couple right now. I never thought they would get so excited, but everything I suggested, they're rushing out and doing, and preparing the seed beds so that I can spread the seeds after they go back to Texas.
Great.
Because you
So
can't spread the seeds now. They have to be in touch with the ground just before the snow falls,
Okay.
so that they have a place to land their roots, and they will have the water from the snow.
Great. So the community is benefiting in many ways from the knowledge that you've gained through the program.
I hope so.
Well, it sounds like it.
It'd be nice to feel that way.
All right. So speaking of disseminating some of this knowledge, let's get into what's going on in gardens this time of year. We're approaching the end of gardening season here in Summit County. And what should gardeners be thinking about to set themselves up for success the following spring?
Well, we're mulching and we're cutting back the dead growth, all of that plant material that is currently in your garden but isn't really doing anything anymore.
And we want to cut it back and put it in compost piles, because then you have enriched soil for next year. If you have the space for it, that's a good thing.
And what do you think? We have bulbs and perennials and annuals. There are many things that we can do to get it ready, right?
Well, we can still plant perennials now. Great, because they're on sale. Most nurseries would like to move them out and bring in new stock in the spring. Not annuals this time of year, because they will be dead very shortly. Spring bulbs are fabulous to plant in the fall, and usually I wait until after the first frost so the soil has settled down. But every year I've put in at least 200 or 300 bulbs, so you can imagine what my yard looks like in the spring.
200 or 300. I mean,
yeah.
that's amazing.
It's easy to do with two people, because one puts a spade in, pushes it forward, and the other one drops the bulb in.
But you're preparing for early
spring.
Right, and early enjoyment.
Yeah.
Because snow melts, and most people then have to wait quite a while before they get the return.
Yep, that's true. And the other thing about cleaning up in the fall is that spring is such a beautiful time of year, but if we still have all the mess left from the year before, it's just not so pleasant to get out there in the wet, slushy stuff and see dead plants all over the place.
Right.
So I prune all of mine back and weed them and get them into a compost pile. And then I also happen to have an asparagus patch. And asparagus are big eaters, so I put a lot of compost on it in the fall and then mulch over that to give them a good hearty push in the spring.
All right. And so as far as the pruning that you were mentioning and clearing out all those materials, so would you do that across the board to all your perennials and all the kind of dead stuff that's left over for your annuals?
Annuals you could just pull out because they're not going to come back next year. They're just going, but they can also be left because they'll decompose and be good for your soil unless they have any kind of bugs or infestations on them. Then you definitely want to get them out of there.
Okay.
Perennials you can prune back pretty hard at the end of the season. I usually wait until the leaves are dead and then prune them back. Shrubs, you should check each and every type of shrub before you prune it because some need to be pruned in the spring and some need to be pruned in the fall. And if you reverse that, you can discourage them from happiness.
We want to keep our garden happy.
Having a happy garden is having a happy gardener.
Right. Is there ever a point when you're done?
I have never found that point, and I consider myself very old, and the point has not yet come.
So this ongoing process continues to give you enjoyment.
It continues to give you enjoyment, exercise, a budget line.
Right. Well, we have to be careful about that.
Yeah, it's a sense of great pleasure to continue designing my garden, and I love to insert new colors and insert new types of plants, and try to figure out which one the deer don't like, because they have just come across the front of my yard and topped it off.
Oh no!
Just yum yum yum.
Oh.
But you can put, and I just haven't been doing it enough this year, is sprinkle cayenne pepper on the plants, and that discourages a lot of creatures. And I learned only last year that cayenne pepper comes in different heat units. Did you know that?
I'm not aware of that.
You can, when you buy hot cayenne pepper in the grocery store, it's about 15,000 heat units. You can buy it online, particularly for horticultural discouragement of other creatures that want to eat your plants, and it goes up to 90,000 heat units.
So I didn't know what the baseline of 15 meant, but when you jump me from 15 to 90, I'm feeling hot.
Yeah, I'm feeling like I don't want to eat it, and I'm hoping the deer feel the same way. So.
Indeed.
Great. All right. Well, is there anything that either of you would like to add in terms of gardening tips right now, or any other information about the Colorado Master Gardener program?
I would like to say that anyone who thinks they can't take this program for any reason whatsoever, like I'm too insecure, I don't know anything about plants, or it's too hard for me, put those all aside and just jump in. It's really valuable, and you will get a lot of information that you will retain. Some of it you may not, because some of it's pretty intense, but you will retain enough to have made it worth your while and to give you more confidence in the garden.
And I'd like to say we just are encouraging everyone's inner green thumb, as you said earlier, Anne. And just if you jump into this program, you will gain some confidence. And there's this understanding that you would volunteer later and have to give back to the community and educate. And some people get very concerned about putting themselves in front of people with this expectation, thinking that the public has an expectation that you're going to know everything.
Good point.
If you wouldn't mind saying, how does that affect?
That's an excellent point, and I had that fear. In the beginning, we were encouraged to wear our pins when we went out to garden areas. And I remember wearing my pin to my first, I think it was some sort of garden forum in Denver. I used to live in New York. And people were coming up to me like every 20 feet and asking me questions. And at first I was terrified. And then I realized that the questions are very simplistic. I mean, we don't realize until we're asked how little most people know. Mm-hmm. So they might say, well, how often should I water my or my is showing yellow leaves, what should I do about it? And amazingly, you will know. Most people way overwater and they're rotting their roots. So, you know, if you kind of back off and give them a chance, they'll come back. But there was another point I was going to make about confidence in answers.
Giving yourself the chance. Just to jump into it.
Yeah, you will be able. Oh, I know what it was. You will be able to answer far more questions than you anticipate before you start answering them, and the resources at CSU can always be utilized to answer questions. You can always take somebody's name and phone number, look it up, or give them the route to get into the information at CSU, and answer pretty much anything any beginner gardener would want to ask you.
And I think the best thing about this club is that, in fact, it is a group of people that are very interested in the same topic, and it's growing itself right now, and we're looking for more members. And the more people that we have, the more energy there is, and the more enthusiasm that we can push out to the community at large. And in fact, we've found that there's a huge sort of subculture here in Summit County of gardeners that are really interested in this topic, and they're just a lot of fun to hang out with.
Excellent.
And a lot of them don't know anything, and they want us to help them.
Great. Well, thanks very much to you both for telling us about this wonderful program and giving us some great tips for this time of year. Stick with us. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about the Swan River Restoration Project.